EMEA versus CN. CN has been the dominant region for a very long time. EMEA on the opposite end of the spectrum has historically disappointed in the last few champs ever since Double 61 became the first ever global champion for TFT all the way back in set 3. Looking at these rosters, Weibo has a lot of international experience at champs. Looking at the roster for Zero Tenacity, it's only Lelouch that has made champs, and that's only one time. Alan ZQ has not even made it to EMEA finals ever, having recently transitioned to TFT from Legends of Runeterra, for example. So experience-wise, big difference in terms of what these players have already accomplished individually. Truly a David versus Goliath story, but I think, as was mentioned on the analyst desk, there's so much set 12 experience for Z10. They've been grinding non-stop ever since the release of the set last week.
Yeah, at the very least, Alan may not have as much international experience in TFT, but he does playing many other games, and at least World Championship in Legends of Runeterra. He is a champion in that game, coming here to try and become a champion here at EWC with Z10.
One more story for Z10. A player like Chuso. Chuso is currently hard stuck Diamond 2. And there is the joke in TFT very often, the GM buff usually near the end of the set, where you are not doing so hot on ladder. You come into a tournament and you outperform everyone, so you have kind of that buff for being lower ranked. Maybe the similar case for Chuso, who is currently the highest AVP player for Zero Tenacity. This is the first time a Spanish player ever makes it to an international big stage. Not a single time has a Spanish player made it through EMEA finals and into global champs. So a lot of big narrative stories, I think a lot of underdog stories, but we'll see what Alan ZQ specifically can do as kind of the leader of this team. A very strong start for what could be Zoe reroll, a comp we haven't seen too much of yet. Clement interviewing Weibo, they did mention this is a comp that was rising in popularity, could be seen in this tournament. Yeah,
Easy said that he liked it. He thought it could be something that people should be looking out for. Alan certainly having the spot for it here already. Zoe 2, Poppy 2, has the Lilia, and also having a Zoe in shop to kind of add to it. Can at least pick it up, keep the option open, but we see the Akali and the Kassadin being held on the bench, so not closing off the potential of multi-strikers, as it will be a silver augment choice to kick things off, and it's keepers for Alan as a potential to lean even further into that comp.
Could be very strong. There's a Nashor that could be slammed into a Kassadin. If a Syndra pops up in this shop naturally at 2-1, maybe Alan says, you know what, don't try and bait me into playing Kassadin or Zoe. I'm going down the Syndra route, because he's been playing a lot of Syndra this tournament. He's been, I think, the dedicated Syndra player for the Z10 roster. He's played 4 games out of 6 into this Syndra line, usually around tempoing with Syndra to H instead of re-rolling her.
Yeah, but this spot definitely feels like it's going to end up going towards the multi-strikers, takes the keepers, level up. Kind of committing to the line, staying out of the 1-cost reroll. As you said, with the level up, that's going to guarantee we head there. And Nashor's Tooth could be the potential slam. Keepers plus the level up. It looks like Alan would want to win, waiting to see who his opponent is. It's Hong Lian. There's the slam.
Gonna be a slam onto the Zoe for now. She is 2-star. Zoe, I think, one of the most, I'm not gonna say underrated, because I think all kind of pro players do play her a lot on your board. Just the MR shred, the flat MR shred in stage 2, so relevant for dealing more damage. And again, single target damage, especially getting kills, making sure if you are losing, you're losing by 1 or 2 units. There's no blowout losses. Yep,
and exactly here. We're gonna have the 2-unit loss for Alan, not able to take out Hong Lian. As players start to build up those initial streaks, we really got to be watching out for the 5 losses, the 5 wins coming out of stage 2. Those gold advantages can make just such a massive difference in the game, especially if a single team is able to pull out more streaks than the opposition.
Chuso on mentorship for now, the best performing player for Z10. He's also been the most flexible player. He usually ends up on these kind of vertical Witchcraft, Fiora, Karma flex lines, not usually playing much reroll at all. He's been playing into 4 Chrono Karma as well, for example. So overall, he's a player that just tries and play high tempo, preserves HP, and stays strong in stage 4 especially.
Yeah, playing around the multi-strikers for the early game, but as we saw Alan's spot feels like it needs to play into the multi-strikers, taking the early keepers. Yes, it's a silver, you can kind of sack the augment, but it feels like that's the direction he wants to go. So Chuso just using this as an early board, and we'll see him kind of sell out of the Kassadins before Alan ever wants to actually start rolling down.
And the Crown Guard on Kassadin is a peculiar pickup there as an itemization option for Kassadin. It does allow for more of the Kassadin on the edge of the board positioning, where you have the extra shielding in the early parts of the fight. And we saw it especially a lot in day 1 and 2 from the CN team. They seem to have that tech on lock. They like really itemizing Kassadin with anything they can, because Kassadin is all about playing high tempo in stage 3, preserving HP for yourself, but also for your team in a team format.
We look here, we've got Lelouch's board starting off with a nice little win streak, having a pretty upgraded board so far. Zillion 2 already, gonna help make this board even more powerful, and the front line looks stable enough, right? At least 2 in the early game, very, very solid pick, and the next in can just be this Jace.
Considering his current amount of economy, I have to assume the Zillion 2 might have come off of a minor polymorph, one of the strongest charms in the early game. It upgrades a 1-cost unit you have into a 2-cost. If you have a 1-cost that's uprated, you can kind of sell off your units, make the odds, more in your favor, and get a big upgrade for a strong unit, but also just an economic upgrade as well.
We see this is very cool from Lelouch. He notices that Travis is in his pool and decides to, instead of trying to push the tempo, become even stronger, he's going to end up selling the Zillion for Econ and kind of allow for Travis to pick up the win, continue the streak, and Lelouch will sacrifice his stage 2 streak to give a better position to Travis.
And this is important as well in terms of, what gold you're holding on your board. Zillion, for what he does and what he costs, maybe not the best unit in the early game. The CC is not really as relevant compared to something like a Zoe that costs 3 gold when upgraded, and she does just so much work in terms of killing off units.
I go first Carousel.
Wow,
Easy
a bow
and
a tier taken in a Syndra meta. Who could have thought?
I never would have guessed that, actually. Yeah, complete surprise to me as we look at these streaks so far. Easy, Hanxing, going to be at the 3 loss. Might be contesting each other for that, so we'll have to keep an eye out if they end up facing each other. But on the top of the tables, Travis and Honglian on the 3 streaks have to see if they are able to stop each other if we get 2 full streaks into Krugs.
Very unfortunate for Alan. There was a Cassidy with a belt on the carousel. Unfortunately for Cassidy reroll, if he goes on that route with the keepers, belt is not really a premier component once you've built your first Nashor's Tooth, which is the case already for Alan. So despite it being on a Cassidy, he chose not to go for it. Could indicate he just doesn't want belts as a component or just doesn't want to play the Cassidy overall. He played a Syndra's Keeper game yesterday as well. Keepers, you can get value from it in other comps. It's just really ideal for multi-strikers reroll.
All right, we see Honglian slamming another item, or at least getting ready to. Runs into Hanxing, doesn't actually have to slam it, but of course he's already crafted it, so see how this goes. Probably just not going to play it because he wants to allow Hanxing to try and get a little bit of a better loss here. Find at least a kill somewhere, as Travis on the other side against Easy can be able to continue the streak as well.
And we're seeing kind of on both sides the premier single target carry in stage 2. Zoe on the AP side, Namzi on the AD side. AD, of course, not really as strong outside of Kog'Maw in the early game, so Namzi you see a little bit less, but he's very good at bursting down targets and making sure that if you are losing, you're losing by a few units.
Pretty interesting dynamic of the streaks for the early stages to me. It's not been common to see 3 players of a single team all loss streaking, and we are seeing that on the side of Weibo for this start. And I'm curious if that's going to end up hurting them, because it's hard to maintain those loss streaks, especially with your teammates, right? Because you're going to have to, one of you will have to break it. But at the very least, I guess you won't take too bad of a loss when it happens.
Because with Silver Ticket there, we see he's very much going in the direction of the Cassidy. Reroll will be the designated player playing Cassidy in this game. He did play 2 games of Cassidy already across the 6 games played in day 1 and 2, so he's familiar with the comp. And we heard in the interview with Clement, the roundtable with the Weibo Gaming team, they mentioned reroll is all about getting strong and finding your upgrades in stage 3. If you sack stage 2, if you maybe not open for it, but lose most of your fights, you'll have that much more gold to roll with.
And we're going to see Alan will lose his streak once again. He had the first round loss streak through the rest of stage 2, but has to give way for Travis to get the full streak going. Honglian,
exciting
like
battle. Shen versus Blitz. Shen wins it out in the end.
Yeah, and so that's going to be 1 loss streak shattered at the bottom, because does end up losing his. Honglian keeps the win streak, and then at the bottom of the tables, Easy and Hanxing both able to keep a 5 loss all the way through stage 2.
This Krog round going to be so important for Hanxing. He needs to find a tier and a bow. If he does, all of a sudden, BIS Syndra has been found. His game plan will be, again, so much easier to go through. We're seeing here, what will the options be? Will the RNG gods favor the CN player?
Yeah, and with the Golden Remover, he's able to slam these as kind of just tank components. He can eventually start to play when he flips around. If he does not find those, it helps make it be less punishing if he can't find the exact components he wants, but that's the tier.
Immediately slams it. He has no, I think, confusion around what his game plan is going to be from now on. It will be the Syndra reroll. Does not find a bow, and the second BFer is actually very low value outside of finding a second tier in this Syndra comp.
No bow,
no Nashers for now, but still a fairly good spot.
There we go, Koza going to be putting together the multi-strikers.
Very strong set of components here as well. Has the QSS and the BT ready to go for Cassidy when he finds it still. No Cassidy on the board just yet.
Yeah, but he's going to be playing around that silver ticket, looking for those extra rerolls, I think, as you were saying earlier on. And we're going to see that first big reroll kind of at 3-2 for most of these players. See if anybody else goes a little bit early on 3-1, but it does feel like the econ was low enough in this game that players kind of need to wait. So the 3-1 reroll is actually going to put you a little too far behind. Get one more round of this economy. Travis going to be able to keep the win streak rolling as well here, playing around the Zoe for Temple, and we could see just the vertical portal come from there. We've seen a couple of players go in that direction. I don't know that Travis has played it yet as far as just playing around the 6 to 8 portal, but this is a great spot to play it from.
Portal overall just very strong in the early game. These extra effects just add so much to your board. Not adding a summon like an Eldritch, for example, but definitely adding a lot of value and a lot of chances to win all these fights in the early game. One mention for Travis, he's played mostly Syndra and 4 games of just flexible play, looking into Fiora, looking into Karma. That might be the case once again here. Spin to win's an option. We've seen Wukong do a lot, especially that last game yesterday. But if you pick Spin to win, everyone knows you're playing for Wukong. Everyone will start holding the 3-cost monkey.
We just saw Zephyr was what was picked up by Travis on his Golem, so we'll have to be watching that throughout the rest of the game. They kind of removed Zephyr for a little while as a craftable item, made it a little bit crazy.
Look at these rolls coming
now we've got
through.
him back.
Kassadin has been found, Akali 2, the early Callista all the way down to 10. The CN play style here coming in strong, the high tempo, aggressive play at 3-2. For Hanqing, maybe not so much in the rolls, but definitely in the augmentation, has the Chalice, has the chance to get so much extra AP on the Syndra for these first few rounds.
So many golems picked up, right? We're going to see for the Syndra board, we see the Chalice, which is exactly what he would want to see. And the Zeeks was found for the multi-striker, so kind of a lot of players finding exactly what they want. Travis, maybe not with the Zephyr, but you can still make big use out of that throughout this game.
And Hanqing does not roll deeper here because he knows he needs to have priority on the carousel. He needs to find a second tier to slam that second Shojin onto the Syndra. He'd rather take some HP losses now, have that first pick priority coming to the carousel to guarantee that if there is a tier, it's for him.
Yep, but I'm going to continue on this loss streak, as you said, for Hanqing. Not able to find the Sintru on the roll down, but not as aggressive as a roll down as we've seen previously from other players. Only down to 30 gold. Going to be able to make some of that back up, and there's the Sintru just immediately rewarded on this shop, finding that now this 7-loss streak likely to get snapped soon enough.
There's only one tier on the carousel, and Lelouch and Hanqing are going to be vying. See that if there is a tier, it's for him.
Yep, but I'm going to continue on this loss streak, as you said, for Hanqing. Not able to find the Sintru on the roll down, but not as aggressive as a roll down as we've seen previously from other players. Only down to 30 gold. Going to be able to make some of that back up, and there's the Sintru just immediately rewarded on this shop, finding that now this 7-loss streak likely to get snapped soon enough.
There's only one tier on the carousel, and Lelouch and Hanqing are going to be vying for it. Lelouch, in this case, maybe even just to deny it. Where it is on the carousel, where these players load up, could be incredibly impactful. The power of first pick priority on stage 2 and 3 carousels is so important in this Syndra meta, especially in a 4v4 format where you can deny other players.
Yeah, because also upgrading the Kassadin now. So take a look at Lelouch's board. He's got the Elders in the portal in, just kind of playing a normal tempo board for the early game. Not finding any Syndras, not finding a complete direction here yet, right? This kind of wants to go towards, I guess, something like the Karma later on, and just going to need to be able to deny the tier. Could definitely deny tier here, find the second Shojin for himself.
This is one of the problems that I've had with the Z10 roster. I think they've played a bit too flex, leaning too much into the 4-cost flex, not leaning too much into the rerolls, outside of Alan ZQ especially, playing a lot of Syndra. There's been way more Karma and Fiora flex compared to the other competitors on the Z10 team, and no Kog'Maw whatsoever across the first 2 days. There is a single tier on the
right
carousel,
next to Hanqing.
And as the gates are open, Hanqing steps out and picks it up.
And Lelouch gonna have to find something else here, ends up getting a belt. Just looking for some frontline itemization, it seems, at this point.
Alan looks like he picked up Spellblade, so seems to be also on a path towards Karma. Do these players know they can't all play Karma? They'll be contesting each other. Someone has to contest the rerolls as well. It's going to be tough for Z10. It's a problem they've had in some of their matchups that they've lost in the past across these first 2 days. I wonder if the same will happen here, whereas the CN team Weibo, they have very clear understanding of where they're going. Kassadin for Kazi, Syndra for Hanqing.
See what Easy's going for as well over here.
Could be Portal.
Yeah, found Rise.
This is a player who didn't play Portal. Actually, he did play a Portal game himself across the first 2 days. We've seen a few of the CN teams, and Fnatic as well was leaning a bit into Portal. And overall, the AVP is very good for vertical Portal. They've had a lot of success.
Yeah, early enough on the rise. The itemization is actually just fine.
Scary,
This is what you'd want. Being able to get the Morello spread on everything, get the Ginsu to help some mana generation. Giant Slayer, just an extra item, gives some extra damage. It's nothing to scoff at for sure. I think this is a decent spot for EZ, and I think with the rest of the team being in very solid positions, it's looking really good for this Weibo squad.
It's a good loss here, but all in all, it is a loss nonetheless for Lelouch, a player who needed to stabilize off of his carousel. He needs to maybe roll deeper or hope that the stage 4 roll down goes in his favor if he wants to stop the bleeding here, down to 47 HP.
All right, we're going to see Lelouch.
The stim pack. Could this be enough to stabilize him?
I mean, he gets an extra tier. He gets the sword here. I mean,
he's looking for Fiora items,
awkward.
It looks like. Already has a Sterax built. Does he want a second one? He does, it looks like. And will spam the Hodge as well. So full-on melee bruiser items. If the stage 4 roll down is not good, if he doesn't find one of Fiora, Camille, or the Gwen, he might be in trouble.
And even we've seen Gwen struggle heavily, right? It really has to be the Fiora or the Camille. The Gwen, from this point when he's at 47 HP, I just don't see it really getting him back into this game. It's going to be a massive roll down for Z10. Lelouch needs to be the one to step up today. We saw his AVP definitely struggling throughout the event so far, something around a 6.5. Needs to be the player to step up, and we know Lelouch is good enough to do it. It's just a matter of finding his footing here in the EWC.
If Z10 manages to win this matchup off of this game plan, playing kind of a 4-cost flex game plan, hey, maybe there's still hope on this patch because they are really trying to push the limits of what can be done on 4-cost flex, especially considering that most of these players are going to look for the same units. Karma, Fiora especially, are the cornerstone pieces of that 4-cost flex that seems to work for some players if you hit your 2 stars. We've seen so many boards, 1-star 4-cost, not cutting it against these Syndras that have been stacking the entire game.
Lelouch getting close to that level up. Should be a 4-1 roll down. See what other items are picked up off of Wolves. Very good item economy. Golden Orb, a spatula comes through. Can this make any changes here? I mean, it's only with a bow and a glove.
There's a Pyro possibility, but there's especially, I think, going to be a Witchcraft possibility if he finds the right components to slam that. Witchcraft Vertical has been one of the strongest variations of 4-cost flex, featuring, of course, Karma with the emblem and Fiora online as well. The upgrade on Nyla, Nami is found, but all in all, not really the 4-cost he's been looking for. He needs to find the Karma, he needs to find the Fiora, and he hasn't found him just yet. He could be open to playing Pyro. He's holding on to the Nasus and the Akali for now. Item bench full, has to start slamming to pick up this next orb. There it is, going to be the Gargoyle's going to play onto the Nasus. Will this be enough to stop the bleeding? He's facing off against Juso, his own teammate, who's going down into the Kassadin line.
Yeah, we see some stabilization potentially from Lelouch with these pickups. The Milio going to be able to help itemize the rest of the board, give some additional damage. The Nasus can hopefully be stable enough on that front line. Still missing out the main carries of the comp. We've seen the Milio fall flat time and time again when it is the only thing that is found. Great support unit, but does not do enough, and that's still a loss for Lelouch.
That being said, continue to lose streak, gets a little bit of extra gold, and it is his teammate. So if you want to lose to someone at this point in the game, it's still going to be Chuso instead of a Weibo player.
Maybe we'll see if an augment can start to bail him out even further. So we get duo Q as an option
another
for
support
Pass
golem.
it up. Support golem going to come
As
in.
we all know, Eternal Flame comes online. And a Rise pair as well, Kassa. Oh,
there it is. There's the Rise. Easy hitting everything that he needs.
Karma as well, making life harder for the 4-cost flex players from Z10. And the one benefit of playing Portal is that your 4-costs are not contested. Taric and Rise very much not premier units to play on your boards.
Travis finding a replacement for the Kassadin, it's Diana, and these items are phenomenal for a Diana to anchor this front line alongside the Taric. Just being level 8 Diana 2 not going to be the easiest, but Travis is in a position to go 9 and actually make this Diana a massive carry for his team.
And Diana, I think even more so than Camille, I've mentioned the 1-star 4-cost not cutting it, similar for Diana, but if you 2-star Diana in stage 4, she is a tank, a carry, a support unit. She fills in all of the boxes, especially as you mentioned with that itemization. So strong with some extra AP and some Omnibam.
All right, there we go. We see Easy stabilizing around that Rise. Should be able to find some wins, but going against Han Jing, and that's just going to be the Syndra just doing so much work. However, Easy, Rise 2, making it happen. Seeing the health bars actually starting to get kind of low here, right? Especially Lelouch, but we did see him just roll down, right? 28 health remaining, Hunching at 34, and Hong Lian on a 6 loss, 42 health remaining, no gold remaining, and this board doesn't look incredibly stable just yet, but it does have the 2-star Fiora.
It is a 4-cost flex, but a little bit on the, I would say, weird or weak side. Not sure which word would be more fitting. There's the Shen fit in, there's the Bastion with the Hecarim here as well. We're seeing the HP preservation is in favor for Z10 at the very least. The overall cap game plan might not be in their favor with the Syndra player really out-capping later in Stage 5, but for now at the very least, they're doing a very good job preserving HP and really helping keep up the team HP to buffer in this 4v4 format.
And once again, it's Travis looking for that win out potentially, right? We see him kind of saving gold again on the win streak on 8. I know you were saying trying to hit the Diana on Stage 4. However, Travis, I think, look to go to 9 on Stage 4. Be the hero for your team, be the one who goes for the win.
And you want to get small losses versus your teammates, small wins if you're facing your own teammate. Not the case there. A massive loss. Travis also gets his win streak cut by Chuso here, so some team play or some team confrontations happening in the middle start of this Stage 4.
Might be okay for Travis since he is just trying to bank gold.
Morgana for Lelouch,
needs
really big.
That win streak, but Lelouch finding the Morgana, massive, because as you were saying, the Witchcraft emblem, that's kind of the win con for Lelouch to come back and being able to find the 5 cost within that vertical, incredibly important here. There's another spatula available, easy gonna grab that, as Lelouch had already slammed an emblem and so was not able to do that.
The Fairy emblem was the pickup in the end, so again, just trying to find some value from spatulas. In this set 12, a little bit awkward to play around spats. The verticals, unless you're already deep into them, like Pyro and Eldritch, hard to really make great value out of a more kind of generic spatula, for example, but Fairy does fit into so many different boards.
If he does want to change it to Witchcraft, he does have a charm that allows him to break into components, I believe.
Ooh.
Oh, did that not work on the Fairy emblem?
We haven't...
didn't work.
It didn't work now, but we have a lot of itemization possibilities here, and this is really one of the more taxing charms to pick up, and we're seeing why. You really have to have a clear plan in your mind. What is the optimization to make when it comes to, again, now slamming all these items? You're playing against a competitor, against Kazi from Team Weibo. You want to make sure to spam your items and get the maximum value. You're on 14 HP, you're on a singular point of life potentially, and all of a sudden your backline has been wrapped. Nyla's left alone. If it's a big enough loss, you could be out in 8th place, and I think that will be the case. The Jax is not going to go down. It does in the end. It is still elimination. It isn't.
Wow.
Lelouch, off of the Jax kill, stays alive.
Needed that kill, and just not fast enough on slamming the items, and now I don't know that it would have made a difference. Positioning was an issue there as well.
Travis. Diana, so strong as we mentioned.
And Hong Lian still on that free fall. Lelouch just needs to hold out a little bit longer, and he might be able to avoid the 8th place. Even a 7th here from Lelouch's spot, I think you will take that if you were Z10.
Yasa, I have 2 words for you. Desperate plea, baby. We saw it yesterday. We could see it again in this day. 3 was so relevant for Toronto's Ultra first win against Falcons in that game 1. We saw it from Carmine Core in their attempt to survive the onslaught against Twisted Minds. Didn't work out for them in the end.
Nasus 2, big pickup for Lelouch. He has the remover. You can swap him over.
Karma 1 though as your main damage dealer. The Emilio trying to add some extra support.
It's Travis.
And the Zephyrs onto the Karma at the very least, so good communication from the Z10 team.
You're able to try and look for this win. Travis is pretty strong, but he's saving money to go to 9.
Oh my goodness, Diana is so strong.
The healing though stays alive. It looks like the Karma may have done enough, but Hong Lian on the other side looking to get team killed by Kezi. However, that is just going to be the Fiora holds on just long enough, kills enough units. Hong Lian stays alive. One more. Can Lelouch find a desperate plea in this next round? Same with Hong Lian. Both going to be looking for it.
And just such small little things affecting the outcome of these last few fights. Both players barely surviving. What I love from Lelouch is, hey, no Gwen, no Camille, no Fiora, a Nyla 2, and he's trying to make it work. I love this kind of adaptability from a player who, we talked about, has to rise up, has to really show up in this series.
We'll see if anything can be found here for Lelouch to help stabilize off of the Raptors.
Third tank item would be maybe the biggest thing here for the Nasus. So you have to wait for the Milio to pop off. Maybe some kind of, you know, attack speed ramping item like a Rage Blade for the Milio to get him online faster.
Camille found on the side of Hong Lian to try and buff up the board a little bit more.
Fiora as well for Lelouch.
Fiora for Lelouch, gonna help out. Not having the Fiora 2. There's Camille. Does have to pass through there. Benches the Neela to try and get the items onto the Fiora. It's just a Fiora 1. Karma pair. Doesn't find the Desperate Plea. No Desperate Plea on either side.
Last item, what will it be?
Lelouch versus Han Xing. That's gonna be the Syndra. Have to watch this Fiora if it can get some damage on the back line. It
not
won't.
get the tank component in time. He picked it up before he loaded into the fight. It was stuck on his board. He slammed the Crown Guard late. The shielding did not come through before
Front
the fight started. Could that be the difference maker? I think it is. It's only Karma left alive. She's down.
What about for Hong Lian, though? It looks like his Fiora might have gotten to the back line, might have gotten it done against Travis. And it does. Hong Lian gonna hold out a little bit longer. Lelouch gonna be the one taking the 8th place.
And we talked about Lelouch being the player that has to, I think, step up compared to his individual achievements in the past for TFT. His day 1 and 2 performance for Z10 were not ideal.
Level 9 for Travis, immediately finds a Gwen 2, slots that into the board, but not finding even the pair of Dianas, which is the biggest thing that he's looking for. At least he was able to find a Nora to help out on this board, but he's still carrying that Zoe right now. I'll have to see if he can find a good replacement for that, an upgraded backliner, because we've seen people stuck on the 1-star Nora at level 9 and it just not work out.
And Hong Liang we're seeing just barely surviving a very weak board for this point in stage 5. He just has to be so happy that Lelouch was taken down first, because this should be the last fight here for Hong Liang up against Han Xing, up against his teammate from Weibo Gaming. Will the Syndra have scaled fast enough, hard enough in the first few stages to win this fight and eliminate his teammate? This Rakan is lasting a very long time. Fiora has been taken down. Nami buying some time with the Leviathan. And Syndra will be able to clean up. The stacking Kalista is down. And Rakan follows suit.
Hong Lian did his job, though. The spot ended up falling apart, and he was able to outlive Lelouch. And that's going to cause that to be a 7th instead of an 8th, an extra point for his team. Putting the pressure on Z10 to try and play for this first place. And Travis is kind of the one we've got our eyes on as the player who could potentially do it.
And the scary thing here is, if you look at the HP totals, if you look at the streaks especially, the projection for these players throughout the rest of this stage 5, Kezi and Han Xing both on win streaks.
Easy also finding the Nora as soon as he went to level 9, being able to get 8 Portal online, capping out the board even higher.
The problem here for Allen, we're seeing it, still a lot of 1-star units on this board. Fiora 1, this is the problem with so many of the Z10 players going for these flexible 4-cost boards. There is Emilio on the right side of that screen feeding items to the rest of these units, but if they die too early, you won't get that maximum value from Emilio that has both the Shojin and the Nashers, and we're seeing here a massive loss. Easy, the Portal player, looking so strong.
It looks like Allen is going to be the next one to go out in this game. I think Easy has stabilized way too hard, and we see Hong Xing and Kuza being able to be on full win streaks, right? Kuza just lost his, but still saving a lot of HP in this way.
Preserver
so
emblem.
Also on a 4 loss.
Portal emblem on a Nora. 2 portal emblems on a Kalista as well. An absolutely
They're just giving it
crazy stage 5 carousel. Allen is thinking about his own skin. He has to stay alive. Picks up the Preserver crown here, trying to do so. And all of a sudden, Casa, this is going to be a crazy stage 5 and stage 6 as these boards continue to cap out.
Easy also having an open spatula. If he can find a component at some point, find a rod in some way, being able to get a 2nd portal emblem, go for 10 portal. So we see Easy just going to roll down a little bit more. Probably won't be able to make it to 10 portal this game. Would have to go even further, level 10 to make it happen.
In a random portal champion. Could this be a Nora 2?
Oh, Nora 2 would be insane.
No,
oh, it
finds
is.
the Nora 2 as well. Easy, making it look easy. And my goodness, all of a sudden this board is reaching that next cap. 8 portal is online. 20 HP and a dream, and what a dream it is.
8 portal and getting to bench the weaker portal units, play a stronger board. Travis on the other side, still on the Melio with the items, no upgraded carry. Never found the upgrade for the Diana either, has been rolling on 9. His board is strong.
Vikali on the Karm on the right.
Enough.
Allen's
got
in trouble.
Allen in a lot of trouble. The front line trying to stand tall, but it's not enough.
No, it's game over for Allen, it looks like.
Allen gonna go down.
Travis also taking down a notch. Takes a loss here as well, and as we mentioned, Han Xing continues to rise off of that Syndra game plan. Look at the positioning as well to dodge his Zephyr. Finds the Karma 2 now that Allen has been taken down and the Karmas are back in the pool. Syndra 2 away. Again, this is not really a reroll comp, but of course you stay open to the possibility of finding Syndra naturally on your rolls on level 8 especially. And similar case here now for the potential upgrade on the Mordekaiser. Waiting to see who you load up against. If it's your teammate, hey, I have a lot of HP. I'll share with you guys. I won't slam these items just yet.
Chuso on a 5 loss. He has to find 3rd place or else this game is over. The elimination could come through and Weibo finds the win right now if Kuza is able to take down Chuso. Chuso, we're looking at that Kalista, dealing plenty of damage. It looks like Kuza might be a little too weak.
Good.
Multi-strikers. It's not going around the cast and reroll, but it's just the Kalista, and it's going to be enough. Chuso going to stay alive a little bit longer, but has to outlive multiple members of Weibo to find the win for Z10.
And now the actual weakest player from Weibo is in the weakest point on the HP stand. It is Kaza, who's played at tempo, multi-strikers game plan similar to Chuso. Both have hit their cap. They preserve their HP in stage 3 and 4. This is where they start free-falling in the HP totals. And really, as you mentioned, if Chuso goes down in this bottom 4 position, it's GG. 3 players from Z10 would be in that bottom 4.
There are. We've got at least another item coming through. Kuza could have the 3rd item for Akali, can make a massive difference here, or even just another item for this Kalista. You see these drops come through.
Even the Xerath too could be big. I wonder if you would have waited rather to slam this or open this anvil until after you've seen if you hit the Xerath 2 or not.
Deathblade Akali.
But yeah, maybe just want to have an item for this Akali and Deathblade, the best item for burst damage especially.
There's the tower for Kuza to try and live a little bit longer.
There's a Camille for Chuso as well. How do you make this board work? You're on level 7 still. You can't fit in. You can't really fit in 7 multi-strikers just yet, and you're wondering, is the Camille 1 stronger than the Akali 2?
Desperate plea from Chuso.
The rolls come through just in time. The item anvil is popped. He's facing Hanqing. The desperate plea will come in so clutch. Kaza up against Easy, up against the portal player. The rise was found so early on. It's all about this Akali. What can the Kassadin do? The Kassadin's almost down. The BT helping the Kassadin survive, but that's going to be it. Kaza should be eliminated here. It's all the Akali show.
Akali show, but it's down to the Rise. One more cast. Here comes the portals. Rise gonna take him down.
Oh my goodness. Chuso just barely survived with a desperate plea. Once again, taking a page out of Replay's book. And so impactful in this fight in the end. Chuso's alive, Travis is alive. If the match would end right now, Z10 would come out ahead. Travis has to win this match.
Chuso needs to make it to this 3rd place in order to make this happen, right? Chuso has to beat out Easy.
We're going to see now the last few upgrades. Diana also on the board here for EZ. Portal Emblem, maybe a few too many. There's players that are not playing Portal even, like Chuso, that has a Portal Emblem here to deny.
Going into this fight, Chuso against Easy. This is to make the dreams alive for Z10. If Chuso can eliminate Easy right now, this is just down to Travis finding the win. It's such a close fight, but still, the portals are too devastating. The Rise, too powerful. Chuso goes down. Weibo going to hold on, and they'll pick up this 1st game.
And this comes down to that carousel. Portal Emblem, 2 Portal Emblems rather as well, so even you can't deny it. We saw Chuso had one of those Portal Emblems himself. The Nora 2 upgrade as well. So many things came in favor for EZ to really stay alive in this game. Hanqing, of course, a Syndra player. No surprise when you have a Mordekaiser 3 and a Syndra 3 to be one of the stronger players in this lobby to make it to that top 3. Again, props to Travis and Chuso, the 2 best AVP players for Z10. They've done it again in this game 1. They've proven they have the individual skill, but as a team, I think overall just not enough reroll players. It's been too flexible, and even the only real flexible 4-cost option, they share so many units, it's hard for everyone to hit.
And somehow, you know, they're fighting for these 4 costs, and yet Hanqing is getting Syndra 3, but also Karma 2, and also Mordekaiser 3, getting everything put together, and just allowing the Syndra to happen on level 8 here. Yes, it happens after they're no longer able to hold the Syndras, but it feels so much worse to be holding the Syndras and not having anyone play them. It's way better to deny the reroll by playing the Syndra 2 on your own board and fighting in that way.
It feels so bad as well because Travis has built a beautiful board using Diana as a stability point in stage 4, playing around not just the Preserver Karma line, but adding in Nora and Rise and adding in Portal in the late game as well. It's just fantastic to see. Overall, now looking at the final carousel, a few more emblems coming in, not as impactful considering players haven't already gone deep into the Pyro line.
Yeah, Travis versus Hanxing, just playing for pride for AVP at this point, for some MVP points here as Travis, again, as you said, I think he put together such a phenomenal board. This Diana playing around it, we saw it happen with the Golden Quest, a Diana being played around by Hong Lien in their previous series, but not getting so many opportunities for players to actually push 9 and play around 5 costs in that way. Most of the time players being stuck on 8, but Travis preserving so much HP, seeing a spot where, hey, if I try and play around these 5 costs, I can open up for my teammates to still pick up those 4 costs, does so, puts himself in the best position to try and carry his team to a victory.
And the game plan really was, I think, sound in terms of the HP preservation for Z10 in the early game. I think that really did work out. The pitfall was, I think, Lelouch going 8th in this case, not spamming that Crown Guard in time, I think was really impactful in the outcome of that last fight. And Chuso not really finding the cast in 3 game plan at all, just playing tempo multi-strikers on 2 stars. Obviously that free falls off of the cliff in the later stages of the game. We're seeing now that Gwen trying her best, but the Karma does stay alive. The Syndra continues to scale with the double Shojin, and a big win coming through here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Mordekaiser 3 is just far too good, right? Syndra, obviously, we know that's good, but if you have a front line being anchored by the Mord 3, it's pretty hard to beat the cap of this board right now. We'll see if Travis can find any charms that can make a big difference, but realistically, doesn't have much money remaining to do so. See if he can get some tricks with this Zephyr. But really, it's more about what can Z10 do in the next game to come back against Weibo. I mean, I think it has to start with the reroll.
The Milio 2 upgrade comes through. Milio, no item, could have a single tier once his fight begins. The Zephyr, we'll see if he's able to hit. The Milio is not going to be the purchase here. Travis down to 1 single life. The Zephyr does hit the Syndra this time around. Hanxing maybe a little bit doubtful about the outcome of this fight considering his main carry is up in the air.
Yeah, but the Mordekaiser is still such a strong anchor. Very difficult for it to ever go down.
Diana does get bursted down.
Diana trying to deal with the back line. The Karma staying alive. The heal maybe just a little too much. Diana gets a second cast, but it doesn't do enough damage. It's just going to be the Syndra trying to clean up. However,
Brazilian.
The Zephyr was plenty to get it done. So now we got yet another fight to come through between these two.
Travis wants to play for his individual pride. He wants to prove, hey, I haven't made it to the global champs in TFT just yet. He's been so close, finishing 5th a few sets ago. But coming into this big stage, playing against some of the best players from CN, playing against Weibo Gaming, individually playing a great game of TFT.
Just one more chance to pick up some items here from the Rift Herald, stage 7. Either of them will just fall down in that final fight. Not a lot of room for more items for Hanxing, but he does have 1 slot open on the Nami. Can at least improve the board just a little bit. I'm not sure about on Travis's side if he's got any room for items at this stage of the game.
We have to remember back for Hanxing, the Krug round that helped him so much, finding the right components for that first Shojin, getting that tier on the Nasus in the stage 3 carousel by not rolling too deep on 3-2, instead trying to lose a little bit more HP, guarantee the first big priority. So strategically, I think played a great individual game as well, with the help, of course, of something like a support golem, a very strong augments for all of Weibo Gaming across this game 1.
Yeah, I think a lot of the support golems coming in clutch, right? We see the Chalice, that's such a big pickup for the side of Hanxing, and then we even saw it on the multi-strikers board, right? We saw that Zeke's, and now we got a Zephyr here. Oh. Zephyr doesn't catches Karma. I don't know if Karma is enough to deal with it. Kind of need to find the Syndra that we saw in that last fight, but we'll watch this Diana. Does she get enough damage on the back line? She finds the Karma immediately. However, the Mordekaiser still holding strong.
Diana.
It's a lot of power from the Diana. One more cast, another big heal. Buys a lot of space. Might have bought even enough space for Travis to once again find a first place. And Travis, he's been putting up such fantastic performances for Z10 time and time again.
And I really love about this game, one, I think the overall game plan from Z10 with their HP totals, that was really big, but a stellar meta performance from Weibo. They know their lines, they know their augments, they know their carries. I love seeing Diana, though, from Travis. I think we haven't seen enough Diana. It's hard to really make her work. You need perfect items, in my opinion. Things like Crown Guard, the Spark, the B2 we saw there, and also a 2-star upgrade somewhere late stage 4, early stage 5. all in all, a great first game of TFT for this day number 3.
Yeah, and even though the game ended and we kind of had to sit there and wait for, this to end and us to get out of the game with Weibo already being the victors early on, it was actually so much closer than it seems because it was just that final fight between Chuso, between Easy. Whoever wins that pretty much would have decided it, as we see Travis ended up finding that first place that would have been necessary for Z10 to win. So just kind of one placement away from getting it done.
And I think exactly what you're saying is reflected on the faces here of the Weibo Gaming players. They are not looking cocky. They are not looking jubilant, joyous, happy. They are looking stressed because they know Z10 is a very tough opponent. They proved it against Fnatic. They're proving against in this game 1. And I think it comes down to Alan ZQ and the Lush. On paper, maybe the stronger players on the Z10 team. In the stats, not so much so yet. In this TFT EWC tournament, they have to turn it around. They have to prove themselves individually and as a team to try and force that game 3.
We said it was the difference of 1 point. We talk about the value of going first in this format, but 8th, that is also just as big of a deal for Han Liang being able to avoid that.
That's going to be it for this game 1.
Yep, that's going to be it for this game 1, but we still have plenty more to go. Still looking to see if Z10 can come back.
And again, I think we have to change the strategy. More reroll overall for Z10. That might be the name of the game for the game 2.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can get it done. Every game in this group has gone the distance. We'll have to see if they can continue to make that happen. If Z10 can find another win, we're going to go to a break, but when we come back, we'll have game 2 of Z10 versus Weibo.
贵，独家心得啦，还真是独家心得了啊！这把一个都没有。
对啊，既然能玩到独家，所以他们天生就劣势了，他们是。
It's that time once again. The players making their walk, perhaps for the very final time here. Weibo Gaming, the first team to make their way up and past onto the main stage for what is a crucial series for them. I've got to ask. Hi, by the way. How are you feeling?
So good.
So good. You are an incredible team, and I think some players, some fans might be surprised to see you in a situation where you could exit the tournament here. You're both, you and your opponents, similar form. Do you think it will be an evenly matched battle here? Do you think that they are good opposition for you?
Yes, but after yesterday we beat Fnatic, it gives us very confidence. It's so great. So we often we can go to the final, and win the champion.
So beating such a team like Fnatic fills you with hope that you can go all the way here and win the trophy.
Yes.
Best of luck. Tenacity.
incredibly close game between Weibo and Zero Tenacity to kick things off in this series. Every single game in this group so far has gone the distance, so we'll see if Zero Tenacity can bring it back. Casanova and Panda on the cast for this game 2 coming up.
And I love to see the creativity showing up in small ways, but showing up in this game number 1. Portal coming in once again, a comp that was already played by Easy in the first 2 days of this tournament. We got to see, the Syndra game plan, yes, but also the very flexible late game comp from Travis, which is not your traditional early set kind of preserver karma board. It's that next level with Nora, with Rise, with Portal, with Diana added in.
Yeah, and we even see some of these spots here, right? We saw in these replays, you see that carousel, the Nora with the Portal emblem. You know, you have to think, if Alan denies that, he went 6th anyway, is there a chance that Chuso can win? That's where the team play comes in, right? Alan playing to try and improve his spot, doing his best to find 5th for his team. He thought he could, but, maybe in a different world, 1 point difference.
And Lelouch, this is a player that I think really has to step up. He's proven individually, he has what it takes. He's been EMEA champion. He's on the top 10 on the US server every single set. He knows what it is to play at a high level and again, dominate very, very talented players. In this tournament, in this team format especially, it's looking like it's been a tough road for him to adapt. We'll see if this game 2, under pressure, with your back against the wall, he can really rise up and become the hero that I think Z10 needs. We see the faces, consternation, focus. Overall, they know they're against the wall, and they know that this is their elimination, not just series, but match.
And we know that Z10 was a team coming in that we worried could have tilt issues. We worried that maybe if things started going wrong, they would stay going wrong. But so far in the event, I think they've shown otherwise. And I think leadership of veteran players like Alan, who have been in gaming, competitive gaming, for so many years. Hopefully he can rally his team. Hopefully he can help Lelouch continue to find the mental fortitude to push through and show what he is really made of, because this AVP in this event, that's not him.
If they win this game, and they force the game 3, and they win the game 3, I will very confidently say I think Z10 might be a favorite to win the entire tournament. I think this is their hardest challenge right now. But as you mentioned, these 3 players have very strong personalities, Lelouch, Travis, and Alan. Lelouch especially off of a mistake, in my opinion, not picking up that item component in time where it loaded up to his bench, missing out on the Crown Guard shielding value. That is something that can really tilt you, frustrate you mentally, and obviously let down your team in some ways as well. If they come back from that as a unit, as you mentioned, if they, can pick up Lelouch in his spirit mentally, win this game and win the next one, the bonding they get from that moment, from having this hardship and getting through it, I think is invaluable. And this is one of the key things you need to have as a competitor. You need to be able to come back from a tough spot and come back mentally. And that's the name of the game in a tournament like this, in a series like this, against an opponent like this, Weibo Gaming.
And on the other side with Weibo, they've shown time and time again that everyone can be a hero for this team. Hong Lien, 7th place. In the previous series, he went 1-1 in their wins. This time around, Easy just having to hold on for that 3rd. Ke as well, just holding out for as long as possible. And Han Xing, his turn to play Syndra this time around, to be able to make it as deep as he can.
And they know their game plans. We saw the confidence that they had, rating themselves the best CN team, saying that CN is the best region coming into this in the roundtable that we saw from Clement in the countdown before the show started today. Overall, I'm looking at Ke as a player who I think, seemed very confident in the interview. I think you need to have a player like this on your team, someone that can instill this confidence, can instill this spirit of, hey, we are the best. Let's prove it. Let's dominate. Let's have this fury as a team and showcase not just to our CN viewers, our CN audience, but to the rest of the world that we mean business.
And when they were ranking through the teams, they were saying that there's no other team that can contend with them, right? It is Weibo only, Weibo all the way. And they said for the regions, right, CN maybe competing with the Americas region, but they didn't have a ton of immediate respect for EMEA. And we saw it on their faces after that last game. It was too close. I think they're not happy without domination over Z10 here. And so they're coming in, chip on their shoulder. Game 2, they don't want this to go the distance. They want this to be the first 2-0 of this entire group stage for this particular group. And they're going to do their best to make it happen. Z10 going to have to hold tough as you said, biggest challenge of the tournament so far.
And of course, you can't underestimate this Z10, not just because of the game one, but because they beat Fnatic. And Fnatic's a very, very strong team coming into this. So already, I think showcasing from day one, this is the group of death, in my opinion. The group C, we load into game 2. Tacticians are here, the little legends are here, the portals are here, Anvil Buffet, Trainer Golems, and Overachievers. Do we see a last-minute switch to Trainer Golems from Z10? Do we see them risk their entire tournament run onto this portal? The answer is no. Overachievers. Who's going to be Z10 or Weibo Gaming taking the game 2?
I mean, this is one of the first times that we've seen the teams not aligned with each other. Most of the tournament, both teams have kind of agreed on the kind of least variance portal that can be stood on. But Weibo, I'm curious if they've got some tech where they feel like Overachievers felt like the way to go.
And I mentioned with Z10 speaking with Alan a lot behind the scenes. He mentioned to me they had not prepped maybe as much as a team. They played more individually. If they had a chance in the tournament for high variance portals like Trainer Golems, they might consider going for them just to take the teams that have prepped more as a team kind of off their balance, really. Not the case here in the end, going for the Overachievers. And Lelouch starting off with 2 Jaxes. Could be a Kassadin game here from the Polish player. He did play 2 games of Kassadin across the first 2 days. They didn't do so hot. As you mentioned, his stats individually not the best, but it's a comp he's comfortable with. He's played a lot on ladder. So he's big as well.
What they can find. Is there any immediate strategy you can think of for Overachievers that actually like changes anything at all? That would be a reason to go for it? Or, as you said, just comfort zone, immediately trying to knock people off?
I think maybe just they probably prepped it more. They probably thought about the more niche combinations. They've gone through all the possible things that can happen in stage 3 that can change the name of the game. And they think, hey, if we've prepped all these niche things that maybe other teams haven't had a chance to do, it's the first week of set 12. There is so much to think about. They think we might have a microscopic edge. And sometimes in TFT, a microscopic edge is all you need to win a game.
Absolutely, and we're seeing some of the starts for these players so far. Alan, going to be just holding as many 1 cost as he can pairs, looking for a potential win streak angle, not finding any upgrades yet. And it's going to be, once again, silver augments coming through.
Ooh, Leading Forge should be very interesting. Artifacts do open up or improve or optimize a few different lines. That being said, much harder than finding an artifact early on, where if you have on 2-1 an artifact that opens up a line, you know to commit to it, you know what units to hold. For example, Corrupted Vampiric Scepter Warwick is something we haven't seen yet this tournament. In this case, it will be the silver ticket. Alan committing to reroll. He's only, I think, played Syndra as a reroll option this tournament just yet. We'll see if he's open to things like Kog'Maw as well, holding a Nunu on his bench on the side.
Yeah, immediately just going to see that silver ticket. Something that in this meta has found a lot more value. We've seen many sets where, you know, silver ticket, golden ticket, prismatic ticket get kind of thrown to the wayside, even when there are good reroll comps, just because it doesn't provide enough value. You lose out in the combat augments. You end up falling off too hard late game. But in this case, we see that reroll being kind of the strongest option with Syndra. It feels a lot more open to be able to go for these ticket augments and be confident in that, especially when you're racing a lot of the rest of the lobby to get there.
We have to wonder what are the silver augments for our competitors. There is, of course, a lot of variance in terms of the best performing augments and the worst. This is the first balance patch, the first kind of start to the set 12, so there are some lopsided results in terms of the stats for some augments. Some of the ones that come to mind to me, silver Keepers, for example, is very, very strong with multi-strikers, with Kassadin. It gives a lot of direction, especially. We've even seen it with Syndra. I think Alan himself played a Syndra game with his Vanguard getting the value from the shielding on Keepers as well.
Yeah, it is big to be able to find that extra front line. You just need time with Syndra, and the thing is if it's 2-1 Keepers, it's even better for Syndra because you're just actually getting more stacks, even if you're not winning rounds, and then by the time it's late game, yeah, it's just some extra HP, it's a silver augment, not a big deal. So we'll see if that ends up making a big difference. Another one that can just be kind of lightly impactful and be quite nice in the current meta is the Featherweights. It's quite good for Syndra because you want that attack speed, but also good for multi-strikers, kind of same thing. It's not exactly super impactful, but it's still a very solid silver that people are looking for.
As we have this extra time to analyze these teams, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into Weibo and what they've been playing across the first 2 days. Overall, a lot of reliance on Syndra. Every player on their team has played Syndra at least once, with most players playing it up to 2 times. Hunching with the last game, that game 1, playing it now 3 times in total. And they're very open to these gold augments that offer unique paths in the game. They had a Golden Quest player who finished with the first place. They've had 2 flexible games in day 1 that really worked out for them as well. And overall, they like Kalista as a 4-cost flex option or a way to tempo out of Kassadin in stage 4. We're back in the game. Silver Spoon is the option for Easy, trying to spoon some easy early wins on this stage 2 with the extra level.
Yeah, and we see kind of the start towards multi-strikers, but the Shojin slam, so we'll be seeing more likely going towards either Syndra if you can find it early enough, or we'll see that Karma later on. Everybody's still just going to be slamming the Syndra items early and then finding ways to pivot out of it if they're not the one to find it. So we do have a Young, Wild, and Free also picked up in this lobby, so we'll have to keep eyes there, especially with that priority on Carousel being so important. Young, Wild, and Free being able to deny that from your opponent can be so, so good.
And for Travis, I have to assume the Caretakers here is the Galio, considering he 1 has item as a Galio and 2 has a Galio 2 already.
And the fact that he's found the Syndra, this is phenomenal. One of the units that you reroll for the comp anyway, and now you're getting it for free. All right, here we go. Going into a fight, Travis having the Gargoyles. Trying to keep the win streak here and also just buying enough time to get the early Syndra stacks. It's why it's so good to find it on stage 2, get the stacks rolling early, and then when you finally roll down an upgrader, you're just going to keep win streaking throughout stage 3.
And the great positioning here as well as Ziggs throwing his little bombs into that left top corner onto Lelouch. Lelouch hoping to get a few more kills here. Ideally, the Zoe, the great single target damage, will kill off his Mordekaiser as well. That is the case. A great 2-unit loss for Lelouch here, and Travis ideally wants to lose to have item priority to try and build towards those Syndra items. No Syndra items right now. If he doesn't find a bow on this carousel, he could be in trouble and will be at the mercy of RNG coming into Krugs.
Look at Hanxing here, taking the risky moves, trying to make a lot of extra money. A lot of times players, when you take this, you want to try and win streak, right? You kind of play a little bit more aggressively with your gold win streak because you know it's going to all come back right afterwards, but loses the first round even with these slams, and this does not look like that weak of a board overall. However, the backline a little bit soft here, just the Tristana, just a bow, plus the fairy item.
Travis once again becoming that superstar player for Z10. A 2-win streak for now. Can he go for a 5-win streak again in this stage 2? Risky moves in Augment we don't see much of, but as we mentioned, with Silver Augment, sometimes you have to go for what the risky picks, or at least the pick you don't see as often because of the variance in the strength of the augments that you're offered. We're seeing already there a Nyla with a Shojin for Easy, so really trying to make anything work until you get a Syndra.
Yeah. One thing that's nice about risky moves is that money comes in right about the time where you're trying to hit level 6 and roll down for Syndra and roll down for these 2 costs. So
what a coincidence.
Can work out quite well, I think, in this meta. I'm not sure how the stats are on it, but I can see it making a lot of sense as we've got our first carousel, Young, Wild, and Free. Where Chuso gonna go?
Only 1 bow, Travis's last pick, and Alan says, hey man, it's not going to reach you. I'm sorry. Find your Rage Blade somewhere else. I have to pick up a bow of my own. If I want to slam the items that I need for my potential Syndra game plan, he is on silver ticket. He does have a Nashor's Tooth open. Nashor's Tooth can go into both Kassadin and Syndra, so I like the, openness from Alan to say, hey, if I find more natural multi-striker units, I might go into this line instead.
Meanwhile, it looks like a Pandora's bench for Hong Lian, holding on to the early Zoe units and the Poppies. Potentially, we could see a Scholar reroll. We still haven't really seen that popping up too much. I think Pandora's bench could be a way that we end up seeing that happen. So we do have the Caretakers once again. Travis has found 5 Gallios on 2-5, looking to really turbo into this and also getting the Mordekaiser online. A lot of gold on his board and bench. However, the power that can come up from this composition, incredibly, incredibly strong with that early Syndra.
Does Travis value the win streak? Does he want to slam an Ionic Spark and kind of lose one of those potential BIS components for the Syndra? Chuso seems to be locked into Syndra as well, so obviously not all players on DT can play for the Syndra. He does slam the Spark, the extra bit of damage, and the MR threat coming through for the Stage 3. Playing up against a CN player, playing up against a Weibo gaming player, trying to defend his own win streak and have that HP lead that his team oh so desperately needs coming into the late game, as we saw in that game 1. It was so close at the end. But unfortunately, the Kassadin reigns supreme. Yeah,
the shielding from the Kassadin, Ginsu plus the Quicksilver. Travis not able to hold the win streak this time around, and because he did not have much money, is definitely a huge loss for Travis. So look in this last round coming through, Alan and Hong Lian on the 4 losses. Kuzu, the only one to continue on a 4-win.
And 2 Kassadins already on the bench for Chuso. Chuso has very often been the designated Kassadin player for this team alongside Lelouch. In this case, I think just holding to try and make life a little bit harder for someone like Kaze, who has not keepers, but has featherweights, an augment that gives you extra attack speed and move speed. Very important for Akali and Kassadin to get from one target to the next.
Yeah, Honglien trying to grief Allen in this spot. It looks like Allen full sold as well, went full open fort, trying to grief Honglien. He would have won the grief war there, as Honglien still held on to some units. However, both of them not going to run into each other. And so here we look at Easy, going to be just carrying a Hui for the early stages.
Very often.
Yeah, those tend to be the items we see people playing around with the Hui, though. I doubt we'll still see the reroll. I think eventually this wants to be Portal once again, maybe Rise. Does feel good with that Morellonomicon, but still having plenty of options open.
Hanxing here holding the Jinx, maybe thinking about Wukong Jinx, although the stats were really not ideal across the first 2 days of this tournament. Could be, of course, just looking to Kog'Maw reroll, holding a Rumble there as well, Rumble pair really, or, well, as we know, maybe the Syndra that he played in game 1
just Syndra.
could come online once again for this game number 2, and has a very early Fiora as well. Could this be a flexible game plan instead from the Weibo gaming player?
Yeah, there's definitely the option to go that way, right? You haven't slammed any Fiora items yet, but there's still so many items you're able to pick up. The Rumble, very nice touch from that orb, just getting the Rumble too.
Finds Thieves Glove, so just a generic good slam overall.
Could just TG Fiora early. It's pretty nice.
Exactly. Very, very strong. Really, glove items are not ideal in the current item meta. You want to slam TGs as often as possible. They work so well as kind of an off-tank itemization, or, as you mentioned, a melee bruiser itemization for Fiora.
All right, well, we did hear Easy talking about this composition in the interview with Clement, and now we finally get to see it from Weibo Gaming. Honglien going to go for this one-cost reroll, using the Pandora's Bench to try and make this happen even faster. One hard thing with one-cost reroll with Pandora's Bench that I've never really enjoyed is you lose 3 bench spots, and it's actually so difficult to deal with. You have to pick your spot very, very carefully on when you actually roll down to hit everything.
There is, as you mentioned, some very awkward situations, and this is the positioning that matters the most with this Ahri comp. You want the tanks, as we're going to see here, to wrap around and to try and get at least 2, ideally 3 different units hit by Ahri's orb, because the more you hit, the just more damage output you can have. If Ahri's only hitting 1 tank at a time, your DPS will not be high enough. Allen, one of the first players in this tournament to, be the victim of this Ahri comp.
Yeah, going to be on that 5 loss, 6 loss now for Allen. Should be pretty rich, though, going forward into 3-2. We'll see what direction he decides to pick. Maybe off of this 3-2 augment helping him out. Scholar Crest, Epoch, Pandora's items has these options here for Honglien.
For Scholar Crest, you get an Ahri, and you do usually want to fit the 4 Scholar, 4 Bastion, but maybe not enough tempo right now.
Mentorship?
Maybe going for mentorship. No,
oh,
Magic
wow.
Wand, allowing him to finish off the last and what I would say close to BIS itemization for the Ahri. Ahri's passive is that she gets 30% extra AP from AP sources, Rabadon included, which is what makes her so strong once you 3-star her, because her Arcana bonus is that she gives extra AP to the entire team, alongside extra AP for each unit you 3-star on your team, which is why this comp works so well. You reroll for a lot of cheap units, Zoe, Lilia, Poppy, Ahri herself, and you get a lot of power on all these AP-centric units in Stage 4 once you hit everything.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Honglien can fully cap this out. The Magic Wand, as you said, making a lot of sense there. Finish off the Biss. Kaza going to be playing into the multi-strikers once again, finding a Callista on 6.
Not just that, perfect itemization on the Kassadin, has a featherweight into the big grab bag, and everything seems to go his way. And Allen at the mercy of another reroll line here. Kassadin reigning supreme alongside the early Morello Callista. Allen picked up the 2 tanky version of Syndra. I wonder how strong this will be with shapeshifters.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can get there. Has the 1 or 2 Syndras right now, and that's all.
Oh my goodness.
There's the risky moves.
Look at all the upgrades. Look at all the extra poppies.
Yeah, finding everything for Honglien, and now there's so much gold here for Hanxing.
This is looking really scary already. The Pandora's Bench doing so much to help this Zoe comp thrive.
There's Allen
2 Karmas, but I mean, you don't have space. With 2 Tanky especially, you have even less space onto your board. They cost so much. A lot of tough decisions here for Alan. Does he want to play the Nikos? Does he want to play the Shyvana? It's only 1 Shyvana. It's 2-star, sure, but you don't get the value from 2 Tanky. A difficult game coming in for Alan here, who's already on 49 HP.
Yeah, losing a lot of HP, and the board, it doesn't even feel too strong. I think just the 1-star Syndra being really tough, and yeah, 2 Tanky, you would think that that would give some frontline, but this frontline is still relatively soft running into most of these boards. Going up against Easy this time, and Alan just kind of in a free fall in this game, 8th loss in a row.
That being said, he has priority in the carousel. He's going to have the chance to pick up his BF sword to finish off the Shojin and finish off the BIS Syndra. And Easy, once again, going for what could be the vertical portal line. Another time, he just played it in game 1. He has a chance to find a rise here. He is going to be 3rd in the item priority order, and there's Alan picking up his BF sword. Juso, of course, comes out early because he has a young Walden free.
Yeah, Alan, I was, hoping for Karma with a sword or something here. Just get the Karma 2 for free off of the carousel. Maybe find some little strategy there to go, but not able to get anything that high roll. At least getting the BF sword, though. Can complete the itemization.
We're hearing the comms here from Weibo Gaming. Very calm. No crazy amount of yapping, no confusing comms, no frustration. Everything just, you only speak when you have something relevant to say, when correct information is being passed along to your teammates in terms of positioning, in terms of scouting, in terms of game plan.
Looking at Keze and Honqing here. Both of them on massive win streaks. 5 win for Honqing, 8 win for Keze. Not lost yet, finding that Kalista. The featherweights, the perfect itemization coming through, and on the other side, the risky moves paying off, being able to turn this into a win streak. Going up against Lelouch.
For Honqing, he's played 2 games of Kalista Flex already across the first 2 days. This could become a Kalista Flex game again. The Tristana right now holding the Rage Blade. You have Unleashed the Beast with a single Steric already slammed onto the Fiora, which is why she seems to be so strong in this stage 3. And this is going to be, I think, again, a very good game plan for Weibo Gaming. They have some reroll players, they have some forecast players that have specific augments that enable these forecast comps to thrive in the current meta.
Yeah, and once again, they're hitting all the Z10 players very hard. Alan finally breaking his streak, but it is against Travis. We have Juso and Lelouch just losing as well. The win streak staying there for Keze and Honqing. HP overall still not too bad for Z10. We're looking across the board. Honglian still quite low.
The upside here for Honglian, or for Z10 really looking at Honglian's board, is that still very far from the RE3 upgrade at the very least, but the 1-stars are coming in, or the 1 costs are coming in 3 stars across the board here for Poppy and the Zoe. The Lilia next in line if these Jaces turn up into the right unit.
Yeah, I just need the Jaces to cooperate going up against Travis. Also going to be on that Syndra with the Galio, as we mentioned, from that Caretaker's Chosen early on. 6 Galios for now, which means he just needs 1 more, and then he can get it just by leveling up to 8 over the next few rounds. Looks like he might be able to find some damage, but no, Honglian going to find a win there while still on this RE1. They really need to focus Honglian being so low, try and stop him before he can get the comp fully online.
And look at this 10 win streak, 5 Kassadin, Syndra being held, perfect items, featherweights here as well. This is the Kassadin game plan. We saw Juso playing last game. It didn't work out. It was just too low tempo. You didn't find the 3-star upgrade. You were just leveling up instead. This is the ideal we saw from Soju with Vitality in that very first game that they played in game 1, in day 1 against Carmine Core. The 10 win streak off of Kassadin, the huge domination in the early game meant that you have a massive HP lead for your team in stage 4 and 5.
Yeah, Keze gonna be able to have it all the way to stage 4. Able to hold on throughout this game. Travis going to 7, 2 Gallios away.
Honqing finds an early Xerath, Hair, and a Kalista. What more can you ask for?
Exactly what he wants. Xerath Pair is insanity right now. If he can actually just find 1 more or get a duplicator off of something like a Charm. Being Honqing. Also having Briar in the shop if wanting to continue with some more 5 costs.
Not the best items to finalize the itemization on Fiora, at the very least. The one downside here for Honqing, but the early Ascendant charms could be very impactful in stage 4, especially if you're able to play Xerath without necessarily griefing the board strength on your board.
Well, it's also on overachievers, so this is going to be huge, trying to be able to play around that, utilize the portal, find the early Xerath, so powerful on this portal.
The Syndra cast come through. Can a fight win come through here? The more unique Syndra build, the red buff and the adaptive, again, trying to have her cast as often as possible, just not the most common itemization for the Syndra.
There we go, 4-2 augment selection comes through.
Don't even re-roll the other options, just click support golem right away.
Every time. It's going to be a Zephyr, so we'll have to see easy Zephyr mechanics coming out.
And that's scary. In the hands of a good player, of a focused player, Zephyr might be the best item to get on the support golem because of how impactful it can be in the late game especially. We saw 2 players from Weibo Gaming with support golems last game, at least one again in this game number 2. Item Collector also very strong though, and we see Diana once again making a showing in this stage 4.
Yeah, this time though, not going to be that carry Diana, just tank items for her. Still a solid tank in that mid to late game, especially if you can get the 2-star, but not going to be that massive frontline beast that we saw in the previous game for Travis.
Easy rolling down, trying to make the strongest board possible. A mishmash of units have been assembled, facing off against this Zoe, against this Diana board. The items not slammed, considering it is a team confrontation here.
Yeah, items just getting slammed now, trying to find a little bit more. It's easy. Is looking to lose this one, but the front line's still alive. Just looking at the Zoe as the only carry, and now the Ascension proccing through from that needlessly big gem, getting the full damage value.
On the Lelouch.
Lelouch gonna take a big hit there. Once again, we see Lelouch taking all his items off the board and then being a little bit too slow to slam. It's taking too long to make things happen.
For Travis,
one Galio away.
Of Galio has already gone to 8, so already got the copy from Caretaker's Ally for this level up. As a Mordekaiser pair, has to sell some of these on his bench. But all in all, similar story once again. Lelouch, 8th place currently in the HP standings. Alan ZQ, 7th place in the HP standings. Chuso, who was much healthier last game, is now also in the bottom 4, even if just barely. It is very close in HP near the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and looking at Travis, doesn't feel like a phenomenal win-out angle, right? Just the Galio 3, Syndra will not come through. There's little buddies, and maybe that's a way to do so, right? Get the carries in your 4 and 5 costs
big
instead.
there. But he's facing a teammate. It's going to be Chuso, who now has a double Rage Blade Shojin. Syndra, ideally you want small losses, but Zillion comes up a bit too clutch for Travis here. 2 big stuns on the Vex and then the Syndra to win this fight handedly and chip down Chuso's HP as well.
Well, we talk about how Z10 ignoring the rerolls too much, not playing around Syndra, and now this time
Chuso's free.
it's too many Syndras from Z10. Not able to actually have anyone fully cap out.
Chuso, Alan, and Lelouch, full control of the carousel in this first round, trying to, one, get their best components, but also deny the potential item slams from Weibo Gaming in this stage 4.
Hong Lien just going to get the chain vest there. Holding on for the team with the 1-cost reroll, making it happen.
I was going to say, Chuso has Young Walden free, but he's second pick anyway. He would have been close to contention there, so not getting the maximum value. Looking at Alan's board here, this is going to be the 2 tanky Shapeshifter Syndra variant, one of 9 or 10 different Syndra variants in the meta.
3 Z10 players playing Syndra right now. None of them going to be able to hit Alan on 6 copies, but yes, the rest of his team are taking copies out of the pool. They're not re-rolling them. Travis will pivot at some point, but he's still taking 3 copies. We have 3 copies for Chuso. It's just not working out for this team. They didn't play enough re-roll last time, playing way too much this time. Travis not being able to hit everything that he's looking for.
Overall, I think it's not a problem if there's 3 players playing Syndra because you don't have overlap on Syndra herself. Right now, coming from day 1 to 2, there was even less Syndra 3s in general because there's more players playing her and more players understand that, hey, I can just tempo, go level 8, go level 9. I think it's more about the augments and how relevant they are to the strength of your board in stage 4. Things like Little Buddies, for example, the team confrontations here as well, for example, chipping down your HPs. And all in all, someone like Kezi, who's been farming Z10 players and maybe his own teammates as well. It's going to be a 14 win streak. Shades of Soju in that day 1. And this is what happens when you assemble a board like the Kassadin reroll with the tempo going in your favor in terms of augments and in terms of itemization. BIS Kassadin, the most built Kassadin 3-item combination is online since 3-2 when he picked up item grab bag, and the game gave him exactly what he needed.
Yeah, and Kaza has only lost an HP to picking up a charm to give him some more gold.
And mentorship, third augment. I mean, just
Not
two great combat strength
loss.
augments, and then perfect items as well. An early Callista, great items on the Akali. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Going up against Allen, just getting an Encanter Crest at the end of 4-2. Not something that's incredible. It's okay. It's a decent augment, but not your favorite thing to see. Allen, though, does have a tanky enough board. It looks like might be able to finally stop Kaza with his Syndra scaled up, but that Kassadin tearing through the front line can't get the cast off. Finally, the streak is stopped. The bleeding is staunched. But is it too little, too late? That is the big question. Is Chuso down to 8 HP.
And you're sitting on 60 gold to roll with. Kaza was just waiting for that signal. Hey, it's time to go.
Chuso has a 3-star Kassadin on the bench.
Essentially a 3-star Kassadin, and that hasn't stopped Kaza from being this dominant. You don't need a 3-star. He didn't need the 3-star just yet. Now he does. This is so much gold logged onto your bench. Chuso said, hey, my spot is not the greatest, guys. I have a Syndra. Sure, I have good items, but that's about it. I don't have a chance to get my own Syndra streak with the duplicators. And he's been the grief player, but he has to stay alive. He can't go 8th.
He took a heroic grab bag on 4-2, and they're just sitting on the bench. He's not even playing with the stage 4 augment. Full loss streak here. I mean, he'd have to find a couple of Syndras to actually make this work, and everybody's holding them. The opponents are holding him. His teammates are holding them. There's not going to be a chance for him to find this.
He needs tank items. He needs to get this Bramble, I have to imagine. For Hong Liang, we're seeing still looking for the Lilia 3, so did low roll quite a bit with Pandora's bench after we last saw him with the early Poppy and the early Zoe. Items fully now onto the Rise. This is, you know, I read some guides online about the Zoe comp. Despite having Zoe 3, you want to switch your items to Rise in stage 4 or 5. He just does a lot more once he's 2-star, and that's the case there for Hong Liang.
Now Chuso just going to do his best. He finds the Syndra and easy Zephyrs it.
Too much time thinking about your item slams, about your item combinations, about the BIS. Too little time scouting. His teammates maybe should have let him know, hey, there's a Zephyr, you have to watch out for it. That wasn't the case, and Chuso taken down in 8th. The player who has been the hero, the best AVP for the Z10 squad, can no longer help them out in this game number 2, the pivotal elimination match for Zero Tenacity.
All right, Lelouch now on the chopping block. If they go 7-8, it requires Allen and Travis to 1-2, and it doesn't feel like they have the spots to do that.
And the moment Chuso has been taken out, green light for Kaza. This is why he was sitting on 60 gold, something you don't normally see from CN players. They play aggressive, they play for high tempo plays when they're playing rerolls especially, but all those Kassadins were locked up. Now that they're free again, a massive roll down comes through on level 8.
Yeah, nearly hits everything.
Another
both the Akali
Zephyr
and
on the
Kassadin
loose.
very
The
close.
Karma's up in the air.
Karma getting hit by the Zephyr. We're just going to have Fiora trying her best to carry. It's just the Karma 1, but this Nasus, an absolute beast.
What can this Fiora do? Pretty great items. A zillion popping off here, locking up the Nasus, stopping the heals and the ult, and that could be enough despite the gem popping, despite the Ascension effect. It's not enough, and Lelouch gets a big win despite the punish with the Zephyr hitting once again the main carry for the Z10 player.
There we go. Lelouch does still have a lot of upgrades here, but he needs to find the Karma. If he is to hold on, really needs to avoid the 7th place here for his team. Would be massive. If Allen can find the win out, find the first, just avoiding the 7th, not making it need to be a 1-2 for Allen and Travis, especially considering Kuzo's spot.
It's a very strong setup for Allen here. He has the Shyvana 3, he has the Nico 3, he has the 2 tanky, he has the 4 Encanter as well. Even the Shyvanas can buy a lot of time with her stun.
Yes, but stuck on
Oh my god, the Zephyr
Syndra
again, doing
too.
so much. Galio up in the air.
Galio not able to take up too much, but he still will come down in time to pull the aggro. But is it too little too late? The
Syndra's
Karma
very low. She's
getting
taken down
onto
by
the
Zeraf.
Syndra, able to take her out.
Galio, can you do it alone? The Caretaker's ally. Are you the ally Travis needs? Karma, the DOT effect is not so strong. There's no single target damage like the Zoe, but it's gonna be enough. Just barely easy, a sigh of relief.
Travis taken down there, 13 life remaining. Lelouch only on 6.
TG and a Morgana. Sign me up no matter what comp you're playing. It could be a Karma too as well, and which is why Hanxing denies that from Alan, who was sitting on that Shiv Karma and had a pair on his bench.
Travis, see what he can pick up. Pyro Emblem, not really for anybody in this lobby. You can see it with the multi-striker boards. Trying to level that up. It's on the Nora, but it looks like it will go
It'll be the Rage Blade
here.
instead, most likely for Keze on the Callista for this multi-striker comp, trying to have not just the melee bruisers, which sometimes, you know, Grief, sometimes they just die early on into a fight in stage 5 when there's more burst damage. You need to have that reliance of a Callista also dealing damage from the back.
Yeah, Travis still stuck on the Syndra 2 as the carry in this game, has the Gallia frontline. Little Buddy's not going to be getting very much value overall for this board. Yes, he now has the Briar 2, but the items are not there. Travis has to hold on for the team. Lelouch has to hold on, but he never finds the Karma 2.
They can't face each other either. Lelouch is going to face Hanxing. Hong Liang for Travis, and Hong Liang has hit the Ahri. Can the Ahri
get
through
stunned?
This board?
That's a good cast from the Galio to buy a little bit of space. You have to watch the cast from the Syndra. Galio already going down. He's not the strongest 3-star of all time here. And it is just going to be the Ahri ripping through the board of Travis. Finds the win. Travis, will he go down? He will. Lelouch holds on. Hanxing goes down. And at least Lelouch has bought a little bit of time. Hanxing will take the 7th. Travis will take the 6th.
Once again, though, 2 Z10 players are down. Alan, ZQ, and Lelouch are next in the pecking order, 4th and 5th. They have to come up big. They have to try and clutch up. And look at the HP buffer that Keze has to work with. Even if he's not the strongest player in the current lobby, which is debatable, he has so much HP to work with.
1st and 3rd, the necessary placements for Z10 once again. This time around, Lelouch and Alan need to be the heroes for the team. In the previous game, it was Travis and Chuso in this spot, but neither Lelouch nor Alan's spots feel like they could be good enough. Hong Liang trying to take out Lelouch, trying to close the game.
Look at the
out
Ahri,
for
so much
Weibo
damage.
to close the series. Ahri doing far too much.
It's over.
Just the Karma 1, and that's gonna do it. Weibo Gaming going to get the first 2-0 of this group and use it to move forward to the bracket stage.
And a fantastic showcase of why this Zoe comp might be seen more often coming to this day 3 and 4. An alternate game plan in the reroll line. And look at what is working here. You have the Rabadons giving AP to the Ahri. You have the 3 stars with the Arcana emblem, signifier rather, on the Ahri as well. You have the Chalice from the support golem, the best possible hand-picked support item for this comp, onto the Ahri as well. You have the Magic Wand, second augment, also giving the Ahri AP. Guess what, Kessa? Ahri gets 30% extra AP on her passive ability. Absolutely dream setup here from Hong Liang when it comes to playing Zoe reroll. Even the Pandora's bench, despite not hitting the Lilia, helped so much in stabilizing the early game. He's even playing for a Rise 3.
Going for the Rise 3, a couple 4 costs to reroll for it. Just a beautiful display of a composition we saw in the interview. This team wanting to go for EZ, talking about how this Scholar reroll could get it done, and Hong Liang getting to showcase it, finishing in the top 3 of the game. Keze, EZ, and Hong Liang getting it done, whereas Hanxing in the previous game was the hero. This time around, he knows his team has his back.
And Hong Liang practicing his APM, dodging the Zephyr from his own teammate as the fight loads up, making sure the Rise is not getting hit. The Ahri, of course, also not the target. It will be just the Bard in the end. And look at the power here from this comp. The cap is high, even without the Rise 3, of course, for all the reasons I previously mentioned. Really, a dream setup for the Zoe reroll. If you play this on ladder because you watch this game, be careful, because this is really the ultimate power you'll squeeze out from this comp. Everything has been set up perfectly.
Yeah, Hong Liang just going to try and fish for the Rise. He's got the Tarek 2 in the Pandora's bench to try and get there. But let's talk a little bit about Z10 and their journey here. They have now been eliminated by Weibo, but they were able to take down Fnatic. They were able to take T1 to the brink. This was, in all effects, a group of death, and Z10 barely unable to scrape out of it.
I think some great flashes of brilliance, some great flashes of, I think, their knowledge on set 12. I love the setup from Alan in this game with the 2 tanky shapeshifter setup for the Syndra instead. I think the flashes of brilliance were not consistent. It's the only problem that I've had, and I think it's a hard tournament. There's so many great players, world-class caliber. Even making it through the qualifiers was a challenge for Z10, and they dominated the EMEA side. And now we see it. Rise 3 has been found. I'm sorry, Kaza, you played a great game of multi-strikers, but I think you're not going to be beating this.
There it is!
And there it is. The Morgana 3 is found. The first 3-star 5-cost in the tournament, and I have to imagine the last with how hard it is to hit anything like this in a 4v4 format.
Yeah, able to find the major polymorph. We heard Z10 Allen talking about the idea of prismatic ticket to find a 3-star 4-cost, any 3-star 4-cost, and then try and get this transformation. Hong Lian is the first one to find it. We get to see the big old bats come through.
What a dance. What a way to win it. What a way to prove your dominance. You've lost, and you've entered the decider match as Weibo Gaming, sure, but as you mentioned, Group of Death. Coming out of this with, I think, their display of dominance both in execution, both in understanding the tempo of a game, and also in their comp knowledge. Playing for Zoe Reroll, one of the few times you've seen it played in this tournament up until now, I think they have to be a team to be feared, and they will be facing off against Vitality later today. So Soju, Milk, Setsi, and Toronto Tokyo, I hope you're watching. I hope you're taking notes. This is going to be a very strong team to face off against.
I mean, it is one of the biggest things to look at is the fact that every single player on this team is a threat to take lobby every single game, right? They're definitely taking turns on whoever's got the best spot and helping to support them in the best way possible.